device, but let's see if will it come with me? Will it come with me this? All right. This is bizarre. I don't know why it's stuck this way. Okay. Oh boy. All right. Is everybody's screen all skinny? Because I have no idea how I got stuck filming this way. How's everybody doing? I'm gonna need your input on, is the screen all skinny? What is happening? Very odd. I guess we're stuck this way because every time I turn it, it just says thinking. Let's see if what happens when I turn it. Yeah. Okay. All right. So we're going skinny tonight, guys. I hope everybody's doing well. So I have an interesting situation going on here. It's very odd why it's stuck in portrait mode, but it is. So all my pencil fish, since I came home, they're in breeding mode. You can see their colors are all fired up. I don't have rotation locked. In fact, I have rotation on, and it's like the yeah, it's the YouTube app that is has locked me onto this. My phone will rotate the screen no problem. Very odd. So what I have going on here is I have a jar, and in the jar, you guys can see what's left of a bubble nest from earlier today. I'm hoping tonight they totally fire up. But this is Rasbo. If you guys remember Rasbo, he's super friendly. He's the super friendly Galaxy Nemo placat. Well, about 3 months ago, I got Rasbo a friend, and the last few days, since I got back from Florida, I've been introducing them to one another, where she was floating in this glass last night and he was on the outside, and there was no fighting, just this showing off where he puffs up and shows off. And so that's a really good sign. It means he's ready. Now, the sad part is that she's been hiding, this blue little gal, she's been hiding, and she's been totally fine, healthy and doing her thing, but hiding in the thicket over here. And so she wants to come out now and spawn too. So what I might do is when they lay eggs, if they lay eggs, which I hope they will right there, I might take the eggs and then swap out females, because the male should be able to fertilize several batches of eggs. Now, the male will want to protect the eggs, but if I take them, he should build another bubble nest. A lot of times I've gotten 3 spawns out of a male in a week. But what's odd is every summer they seem to do this right as the weather cools down. So I think there's something about this time of year that kind of locks in Betta splendens. It must mimic something about their normal season. But all this is a 1 gallon jar. I know a lot of people use smaller jars, but I like to give them enough room so that they have some options of getting away from each other. And I like to put in a fair amount of floating material and stuff so they can also, block the line of sight from one another if they're in that mood. Now, what is interesting is there is some debris that maybe you guys can kind of see right here from an angle that looks like snail eggs, but it also looks a lot like fish eggs, and she's been hanging out there. But it looks like they're not done with their dance, so hopefully, you guys will. I mean, you guys are seeing it right now. They're doing their little courting thing where she plays hard to get and goes away, but they're both fully colored up. He's really puffy. And some of my wild bettas also had babies. Now, I'll say hi to all y'all in just a minute, but I wanted to show you guys another thing that's going on. So, I have this week, I'm going to order from Aquatic Arts some yellow shrimp that I want to raise. they've got some really nice lines right now that I wanted to get a hold of. But before I get to any of that, you guys can probably see some of these little teeny blue shrimp that are in this tank. Now, this tank has some snowball plecos in it, some miniature snowball plecos, which are probably really hard to see. This tank's kind of just been left literally alone. Like, I haven't even been feeding this tank more than once a week. And the snowball plecos are down. Let me get the glare off. They're right down there. See that one right there with the spots on it? That's how small they are. And these ones are going on about a year now, I think, total in age, because I got them when they were a few months old. And they're only about six or I don't know, maybe. I think so. I've had them 8 months, I guess, total. But I think they were about 4 or 5 months old when I got them. And if you see here, let me tilt this rock. They're always hanging out on this rock, but they're in there basically just to eat. Just to eat the planaria and also the vegetation that falls away while they're in there. Now, I started from Grant Eater's shrimp, these Blue Dreams, and I have never had such success. I started not even 6 months ago. Look at them going nuts. And I started with 12 and a few babies. Last night I counted, there's almost 150 total in here. And the reason I moved them all into here is, one, I haven't culled them at all. So there's a few that see, like this one is way too light blue, whereas some are so dark that I want to put them into like a navy blue line. And there's even two that have Riley or Really markings. See, like this one here kind of is starting to do the Really or Riley thing. And so I wanted to put her in her own tank as well, because she's got those stripes starting. So there you can really see the contrast in colors. Beyond that, what I noticed happening when I got home and I fed the tank for the first time in a long time was planaria came out from everywhere. Every little corner there were planaria. You guys can probably see them right here in the substrate, like balled up and waiting to come out. And I didn't think they were causing much trouble because, I mean, holy bejeebus, look at all these blue shrimp, right? I mean, I started with 12 and it hasn't even been a full 6 months, and look at how many I have. I mean, there's that many all across the bottom. And so I thought, oh, well, there's no problem here. You know, they're only eating a few here and there. Well, then I noticed all my pregnant females were only partially pregnant. Like, see this gal here? Let me pull her forward. She's only partially pregnant. Like, she's only got maybe 8 or 9 eggs, and the middle of her belly is not holding. So they have been eating the eggs off the belly of the pregnant females, and obviously that's a problem. Now, with all that said, I thought I got all these shrimp last night while I was feeding them and just kind of watching them move around and everything. There's still babies everywhere. So whatever it is that Grant's line, whatever, I don't know, nuclear waste he put in the line to make them breed like this, I'm impressed. But the other thing that I caught video of last night too, so I'm going to add a couple more babies. The other thing I caught video of last night was that there are blue planaria. So those planaria are in fact eating the baby shrimp. And here you can see I've got just every scoop I get more baby shrimp. So the output of this colony is insane. I mean, they've been breeding like none other. Like, I've never had a colony this productive. And I don't know whether it's just the line that I got from Grant that's so good, or whether it's the fact that you see all this mulm and stuff floating around. Whether it's that, I don't know. But this was an aquascape, if you guys recall. And the fact that it was an aquascape and has all the right amount of nutrients for plants and has a good light on it and yada yada yada, like it's just set up to be a long-term stable shelter. Look at this little guy. He is so tiny, but she's so blue. I want to get her into safety too. So what I decided and why I am catching them other than grading them is I decided that I'm going to use no planaria, which is betel nut extract, and it can be harsh. It can kill snails. It can even kill some shrimp I've seen in the past. So you definitely want to dose it as directed. And the other thing is it's UV sensitive. So I'm going to dose it at night tonight. And then, see, look, I'm still catching shrimp. It's insane how many shrimp have multiplied in this colony. I mean, I don't know what happened. I think I can't give all the credit to Grant, I don't think. I think what it is it's such a rich substrate and there's so many plants and hiding spots and there's literally no fish other than those tiny snowball plecos in here. And I think they've just been able to go wild and also eat all the algae they want on their own and lots of different diversity of plants. And it's just been kind of room temperature. Like the heater hasn't been on. The filter has been pretty clogged and at a trickle. I just opened it up so you can see it's nasty. I need to change it. You'd think that this tank would be the one that needs help, right? But no, I mean, clearly we just have endless amounts of blue shrimp coming out of this tank, which is beautiful to see. So, I'm going to put some of this back in and just give them a little water change. Just even though it's the same water, like I'm just going to give them some fresh water from last night because that's a lot of shrimp to have in one container. I mean, look at them all. There, like I said, there's over 150. So I do want to make sure they have some water that's coming out that's fresh and aerated a little bit. But shrimp, for the most part, are pretty hardy. You know, you can send them overnight for a few nights over ground if you're shipping them. But yeah, so I wanted to give them some new water and stuff. So I'm gonna do all that. I'm gonna put all this back in so that they feel all safe. And then, like right after the stream, I'm gonna dose like a teaspoon basically of the no planaria, and hopefully that gets rid of them because these planaria, like even though the shrimp are doing so well, and I'm tempted to say no, I don't want to mess with it. I didn't find one single female that was fully buried and healthy. Like, and that's not right either. So I think this tank could be even more productive. But I think in 1 year, I'm going to get at least 500 shrimp out of here, Neocaridina style. So, yeah, pretty crazy. So let me get to you all, and I'll say hello, of course, and see what you guys are up to. But I also just wanted to show one more time, in case folks coming in missed it, that here we've got some bubble nests starting right up in here. And Rasbo has never been a male that bubble nests. He just doesn't. She actually seems to want to help, but she can't. She doesn't produce the right amount of saliva and everything for it. But she's about 3 months old, and like I said, the last night or two, they've been looking at each other through a glass jar, and today they're together. So they're going to get a little bit of a water change right now, just an addition of water basically, and floating the jar and all that. And there's debris, there's plant debris and stuff in here. But yeah, you can see now where the bubbles are, and that's where Rasbo is. He's hiding behind all this plant debris. But they're getting along really well, and he's been showing off for her since I turned the light on this evening. I had the light off today because Bettas tend to like it a little darker, and it's all about them right now. But I would love it if I could get these to cross because I paid, well, too much money. I paid too much money for these. You know, she was $40 and he was $60, I think. So these are Koi Nemo Plakat Bettas, Galaxy Koi Nemo Plakat, which is too many names, too many adjectives in there. But you can see they are really beautiful. And Rasbo has always come to my finger. See, when I put it up in the water, he comes over and checks it out and knows that's feeding time. She's all metallic like I've never seen her before. I've never seen her iridophores so flashy. And so they've both been eating good high protein diet of mostly shrimp in the other room and in this tank. So they're doing their thing, as I mentioned. And then also there is a female that I didn't even know was still in here, to be quite frank. I didn't know she was in here. And she's hiding somewhere back in here. But at the beginning of the stream, she was showing herself and saying, hey, what about me? Like, wanting in the jar, I think. So if they don't lay eggs in the next 24 hours in the nest that Rasbo's making her, but they seem pretty interested in each other, then I'll switch out females. And like I said, I'm going to take the eggs, and you can see he's going to show off for her. He's going to puff up and show off for her. And they very well may be litter mates for all I know. I got them from the same source, but like 6 months apart. And so Rasbo's at least a year old now, this guy. And she could be the next litter or a litter mate. I don't know. They could be siblings for all I know, because they came out of the same store in Seattle. So in any case, that's what's going on in there. We're going to hop into the other room, and I'm going to show you the wild bettas. And then I'm going to chat with y'all, and we're going to see what's new with everybody. So, like I said, the tanks, for the most part, everybody's doing okay, except this tank, which has cyanobacteria again. This one keeps getting cyanobacteria. And over again, I nuke it with erythromycin, and it does good. I only hit it with half a packet for a 20-gallon. But I'm sick of doing that, so I'm going to hit it with a whole packet tonight. And also, we're going to knock that out of the way. But then we've got the other bettas that bred while I was away. They bred in my guppy tank over here with my, well, they're Endler / guppies. But this is why I was saying the bettas were fat and sassy, was because they've been eating these Malawa coal shrimp. And these are the big line of Malawa. So, like, whenever I see a giant male for the Malawa line, I just throw them over here. So there's no color or rhyme or reason to that tank, but just giant size. But up here, we've got one Madaka rice fish, and then we've got baby bettas. And what we're dealing with, which is awesome, and he's all colored up because I think they're ready to spawn again, even though this light's terrible in here. Oh, he just hit the deck, of course. But these are Betta machiensis or machiensis. They're the ones that are probably crossed with the placots to make the alien bettas. So let me get something to just pull them to the front, and then we'll chat, guys. So, all right. So these ones, but yeah, all the bettas in the house, for some reason, wild or domestic, they're all ready to spawn, which is pretty cool. So I've got the female in the corner over here. Let's see if we can get her to come forward. And so the female stays a little more juvenile looking, striped, and she's got blue on her and everything. See her? She's got gray and blue, so she is the female, and she keeps those stripes, but she does color up even more than this when she's ready to spawn. And if we can get the male over here, let's see if we can convince him to switch places, scare him over here, basically. Come on, dude, where are you? And this is just a filterless tank. There's a sponge filter in there, but it's not running most of the time. And there's some shrimp in here for them to eat, because I think bettas really like shrimp and isopods, copepods. So I leave shrimp in there, and then I also, boy, I'm making it dirty. Now he's not going to look pretty, but last night he was a soft gray color, and just now when he hit the deck, he was a dark blue color. So let's see if we can get him to show. Yeah, here he comes. So look at him. Isn't he a pretty boy? He's purple and blue tonight. So these ones really change color. He's almost red, purple, and blue. So this is the Machiensis Betta. And again, this is a shop light, so it doesn't even give them like their due. It doesn't even give them justice. But they've got shrimp to eat. He's all colored up, so obviously he's ready to spawn. And they're happy and everything. And their babies, which have to be a couple months old now, look a lot like the female does as an adult. They do just all the time, the babies do. So let me pull this out of here. And these two tanks have shared all the same water and everything because the babies were with the parents. But look, see the babies, see how much they look like the females with those lines? They're just even lighter, more blonde. So they're in there with one random rice fish that I didn't know what to do with because she's the last of her kind. But yeah, so that's what's going on in this world. There may be more betta in here because I moved them all from down here. And so there may be some very young ones because there was a bubble nest when I got home. So it's just like betta central in here. It's wild. Yeah, so I'm excited, but that's what I'm working on. Now let's see what you guys are up to. Let's see what's new in the world of y'all. And let me just real quickly pull this the dehumidifier real quick. Ta-da! So I usually put this in the shrimp tank. Shrimp tank's already gotten it. So it's going to go down into the African tank. Beyond all that, the light's also off, I forgot to mention, because I've got another group of bettas, which you can see her here. She's a ghost. She's a Nemo ghost, or rather a galaxy ghost. And so she's like got this cello color to her. But beautiful fish. All right, so who do we have in here? Discordia Creates, what's going on? Lady Rorschach, Sky Dancer, Linda, what's up? First Class Fish member, greetings and salutations. Sonny Gordon, picked up a rainbow placotte female. Hope everything goes well with the egg. Yeah, thanks. Sketty Nonia, what's up? How are you, my dear? And who else is in here? Jeff Kane, Craig, what's going on, buddy? JK says, I just wanted to check in on your Fluval 45 gram CO2 system. I saw your setup video, but I want to know if it lasted you well. Think about getting one. You know, I wouldn't get one unless you really have a small tank. Let me turn this around. This was the tank I had it on, and this, by the way, this guy has become a menace. Literally, in the time I've been gone, this one's been laying low. And it's a menace. This algae eater does its job. But look, it ate all my Rotala, by the way. So it didn't even matter that I had CO2 going in my lake inlay tank. Now, I say it's a lake inlay tank, but it also has the Nanochromis in it and a Siamese algae eater. Now, the Siamese algae eater has gotten so big that it needs to go. It needs to go back into one of the larger tanks, the 40 gallons or something, because it's probably 4 inches long now. But in any case, the loaches themselves are at their full size, the red tail inlay loaches, and they do the same thing as the algae eater. So, like, it's trying to eat algae that's not even existent on a rock, basically. Also, the erythromicrons, they're having babies in here, which is cool to see. I mean, I just see more of them popping up all the time, which is great. Also, the female Chopra Danios are huge. They're like ready to lay eggs. So I need to move them to a really jungly tank so they can lay eggs. But yeah, so everything's, even though it doesn't look so pretty, everything is still going pretty good in here. But I had to turn the CO2 off, like I was saying, because it wouldn't be regulated. I couldn't regulate it on such a big tank. So my recommendation is, if you get that 45 gram system, is that you put it on a 10 gallon or smaller, like really like a 5 gallon nano cube. And the problem is every day you have to turn it just right. And by the end of the day, that dialed in spot that you had it to may not be correct anymore. It may not apply anymore. So that's what's really frustrating about it is that piece of the puzzle. But it is pretty cool that it's small and all. But I would definitely spring for, with the refills, you're gonna go through those. If you did it very slowly, like one bubble a second for say 6 hours or 8 hours a day while it was on, like at an office desk, then that's where I could see someone's deciding that it's worth it. But I just don't think that it's worth it in any setting other than that. Like, it wasn't worth it over here on the tank, this tank over here. It wasn't worth it. I had to quit it because it was unpredictable. And also, sometimes what happens is if the bottle was just made poorly, the canister, they're $15 at the store. And if it's made poorly and it doesn't align right, just because like there's a lip on the bevel of the threaded part, like all of a sudden it'll just out gas, and you'll get all sorts of leakage either all at once or within 2 days. So it's not, to me, it's not worth it. But that being said, if you got extra money, or if like a company's paying for it and you need a very small setup, you don't want a big tank, or a paintball tank or a 5-gallon tank, then I get it. But I mean, you can get the tanks now that are these 2.5-gallon tanks, or 2.5 pound, I guess is how they measure it. These. So I know that's like as tall as your cube would be and everything, but you can always run line too, so you can always put it underneath your desk at work or something, or underneath a cabinet or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I gave it a second chance. They did fix some of the issues, like it exploding, but it's still not a great thing. It's still a pain in the butt. That's my review now. Let's see here. Yeah, exactly. Craig says patience is key to Betta breeding. Make sure to watch the male, making sure he's not a killer. Yeah, exactly. Some are just not nice, and others are as sweet as can be, and you'll even get sometimes females that are more aggressive than the male. With those particular ones, the Plakat Galaxy Nemos, so many names. Rasbo, I'll just say Rasbo. I haven't named the female. I need your guys' help on naming her. I was thinking of Holly Golightly because I'm trying her on all the fish in the fish room. All the other bettas are getting to see if they match with her. Anyways, so what's going on, William Drollard? Hope you're doing well. Nano Aquarium guy, what's up? Kenny, what's up, man? How's it going? Fish tank people. Nino Franklin, how's it going? What are your thoughts on the Dharma Medaka strain? Are they the fat-bellied ones? I don't remember which ones they are. I'm sorry. I know the Lame or Lame are the sparkly ones, and I know some people are calling them balloon body or fancy. But if they're the ones that have the kind of hump and the fatter stomach, I'm not into those. I'm a little worried about those having organ problems, honestly. Don't be scared to run CO2, Craig, as far as for any health reasons or anything. Like, if you dump all the CO2 from a 2.5 pound container in a room, first of all, it's heavier than air. So it's going to, it's the air we breathe is, nitrogen and oxygen, but O2 is the air we breathe and that fish breathe. And CO2 is O2 with carbon attached. So that extra weight that's in, an 8 on the, 6, 8 on the, on the elemental table. It weighs down that molecule, it sinks to the ground, and will go out. So as long as you have like a gap under your door, it'll go right out that. Now, if you were in a very small room with no gap in the door and sleeping on the floor, you could gas yourself. But other than that, it'd be pretty hard. Let's see. Oh, right on. Sage says, Dr. Anthony bought my angelfish. It won the bowl contest. Right on. Congrats. That's exciting. Silver Creek Aquatics, what are you up to? Alex, Jedediah, Mordecai, Moonflower Williamson. Good to see ya. Well, good to see you too. Always like Mordecai, that name. Yeah, balloon bellies seem like they'd be hard to tell if they have gut issues. I'd be scared. Yeah, no, I completely agree, Discordia. I think, yeah, the Dharma ones, it's just another way of saying, like, the pot belly ones, or, you know, and I'm not not into it. I don't encourage that. I just don't think it's right to treat the animals that way, quite frankly. I'm going to see if I can actually, because this thing was hiding all night. And let's see if we can catch the Siamese algae eater. Notoriously, probably the hardest fish to catch in all of the fish room. Let me turn this around. Otherwise, you guys are just going to see me frustrated. Hold on. But last night, I don't know where this thing goes. It's like it's got another dimension that it goes to hide in. But he's not a native of Lake Inlay. He was there to help me when the scape was new. And like I said, I've got all the loaches that are native, so I don't need him anymore. But these guys are so incredibly fast, and they're really hard. These are by far the best algae eaters out there for Blackbeard or anything. My money's on these guys, the reticulated Siamese algae eater. But like I just said, they get big quick. This guy's been in here. This tank's not even a year old, and he was an inch long when I bought him, and he's had lots of algae to eat, and so he is big. He's like 4 inches plus. So that's where he goes to hide, somewhere back down in there. Well, as long as he's not terrorizing the other fish while they're eating, I'm okay with him hiding down there. But if he comes out, he's getting moved to probably to the big tank that I'm doing a water change on. Now, the other thing I was going to say that's really key in my experience with the bettas is everyone likes to feed them bloodworms, but they can get a upset stomach from too many, and they can actually get impacted and die if you feed them way too many, because they'll gorge themselves. So this is one of two scud tanks. I have 2 different types of scuds now. I don't know if you guys can see them swimming around at all in there, but these are like a big amphipod or scud, and I just give them duckweed and a little bit of food once in a while, and there's no pump or anything in this tank. It's just a sitting tank with kind of rotting plants, honestly, like algae and plants that I'm not using, and it just sits there. So that's the story on where I'm getting food, along with having shrimp in every betta tank to feed them. That's the story there. Now I'm also gearing up to spawn out some of these Luminatus now that they're getting big enough, or thread fins. So when I get back from Chicago, hopefully, either there'll be some babies in this half of the tank, or they'll be ready to spawn on the mop. Let's see here. So, and then I'm redoing a couple tanks altogether. I love this fry food by Aquarium Co-op, though, by the way. I hope they never stop putting the ingredients that are in it, because it's perfect for little fish like, you know, tetras and stuff like that. But it's small enough that it works as a supplemental. You know, they almost treat it like a biofilm on wild fish. It's one of the very few foods that's prepared that I see my wild fish actually like wanting to eat. So I hope they don't change it. From what I understand, it's made of salmon and like other food fish for humans that's then ground up. and like powdered, like their head and their spine and their tail and fins, like stuff that's not used for human consumption. They render it and use it for the fish, and for like some of it gets used for dog food or whatever. But yeah, fish. Let's see here. First class fish. Speaking of betta bellies, what do you guys treat constipation and bloat with new to bettas? I usually use just peas if I can. So I will get green beans or peas, and you get that soft pea out of the center, and then usually I'll boil it. Like literally, I'll just get a mug of water, and I'll put that in the microwave for, I don't know, 30 seconds to a minute, so it softens it up a little bit, and I'll feed them the inner part of the pea is what I seems to work really well if they'll eat it. Now, if they won't eat that, then it can be difficult. But definitely, bettas can get constipated, especially the fancy ones that have kind of inbred stomachs and stuff, as far as like Tangletown of a stomach. So yeah, I mean, it's good that you're keeping an eye out for that. And it's best if you can catch it early, obviously. Especially if you know you've got fancy bettas that are prone to having stomach issues. I would just be careful, but keep an eye out for it, and feed them those peas if you can. Now, other than that, spirulina, if you can get them to eat that, that can sometimes help. Really, anything with fiber or with a lot of vegetative, like, what's the word? Like, not stringy fiber, but mush, basically. It will help kind of soothe their belly. Also, tannins in the water, like, you know, catappa leaves, jackfruit leaves, moringa leaves. They'll actually eat moringa leaf crumbles. So you can actually just take the leaf and crumple it up into bits, and they'll eat that slowly if they don't have anything else to eat. Now, a lot of people feel bad for their betta, and then they put all sorts of other food in there, and then their betta is essentially spoiled and doesn't want any of the other food options. So, you know, it's a bit of a, it's sometimes for people it's a bit hard because they don't want, they think their fish is suffering or not doing well, and in reality you're doing what's best for them. It's just, you know, hard. Blue Reed, what's going on? What floating plants would you recommend for an outdoor tote? You live in the Pacific Northwest. Azolla. I would get a hold of some Azolla. That can withstand the cold. Duckweed withstands the cold pretty well too. But beyond that, if it's heated, you can go with a lot of different things: frogbit, water hyacinth, lilies. But other than that, our winters tend to kill back any floating plants, and so that's kind of the problem. Is anything you have floating will be an issue. George, what's up? Good to see you. Natural fish lax is what Kenny says. For sure. Hello, fish fam. Just popping in to say hey. What's up? Have soaked the pea in garlic. Yeah. Soaking the peas in garlic is a good move, just because most species of fish enjoy garlic. It's in most fish foods, and it's kind of just an age-old trick to get fish to eat medicine or foods that aren't otherwise as palatable. They tend to eat it if it's got garlic in it. So yeah, I'm all for giving that a try. If you can get them to just eat the pea, inside of the pea. So I'm really talking about not the pea, but the inside of the skin of the pea, that soft little kernel, as they call it. Which I know you get like a little teeny piece, and in each one, and that's it. Let's see here. Ken's 3D Aquatics, what's up? Good to see you, man. Caleb, hello. Control their food intake. If you don't overfeed, they'll never bloat. Yeah, that's true too. I mean, but I understand that things happen, especially when people are getting to know their tank, or if their bettas are in with other fish that have, you know, really protein-rich diets. But people tend to assume that bloodworms are all that bettas eat or something a lot of times. I don't know why. Same with pea puffers. Or snails are all that pea puffers eat. But any fish that eats a lot of protein. In the wild, think about it. If it's eating little fish or worms or whatnot, those things eat vegetative matter. And if you're not vegetative matter within the gut of whatever it is they're eating, you're not getting the nutrients, you're not getting the same profile of consistency or anything. So that's why it's difficult. And again, if you guys are joining, sorry, I am in profile mode. No idea why it locked me in to profile mode. It's very annoying though. Yeah, the other thing about this tank right now is that algae eater, he's actually gotten real desperate. And so this tank is not looking real pretty without the CO2. But I wasn't going to run CO2, get new CO2 and run it while I was gone for a week and a half. And then I'm gone to Chicago for another week here, starting on the 26th or 7th, late night of the 26th, basically. So, yeah, it's, everything's in kind of this weird state of limbo in my fish room right now. And it really makes me nervous traveling this much, but at the same time, I knew I wasn't gonna have another time where I could go. And you guys so kindly funded that trip with Alan and the GoFundMe, setting that up, and I was able to, get tickets and everything and all squared away. And, Grant Eater is going to be there from the Garden of Eater Shrimp, which tomorrow morning I will be releasing an incredible video just on his yellow shrimp. So I'm not going to release, there is going to be a full tour right before Aquashella that I'm going to release, like a long video, half hour plus. But this video that I'm going to release in the morning, early morning, like 7 a.m. East Coast time, hopefully, it's yellow morphs of shrimp you guys have never seen, that the world has never seen. He's never posted pictures of them. And we look at dozens of tanks, and there are some wild blue and purple and metallic with yellow skeleton patterns. I mean, it's crazy. So I'm excited to share that video tomorrow. By the way, anyone who's bred bettas, assuming I try it and get eggs, what do y'all feed them? Honestly, most of my tanks are like so full of mulm and food and everything that I just let them scrounge. But in the past, when I had new tanks, I've done vinegar eels, and baby brine shrimp is always a good call. Again, that can kind of gut bind them if that's all you're feeding them. But most tanks of any age, of more than 4 or 5 months, they're going to have some algae, some plankton, some little planaria and hydra and all sorts of other stuff that all your fish are constantly nibbling at. And I mean, right now you can see fish are just nibbling at whatever is in here. And that micro flora and fauna is why I keep natural style tanks. And it's why all those tanks up there, they're all green. And if I were to keep them sterile with like glass marbles for breeding or whatever, I wouldn't have the food for the babies. But infusoria is always the best food when they're really brand new. I've got videos on how to make infusoria. And also then vinegar eels are great. Just make sure you don't jack the pH all up with the vinegar from the vinegar eels. There's ways to separate it with water and so forth. And then, the other thing, I like to leave my baby shrimp in the tank for them to eat. If I have a very robust colony of some kind of shrimp, they'll be eating those babies. Now, I don't have a Discord yet, but I keep thinking about it. I did find out some stuff about Discord behind the scenes. If you do some research on who owns it and who they're giving out information to and all those sort of things, it's like basically worse than Facebook as far as that goes. Now, that being said, I have a Facebook. I use a Facebook, and I'm not against it for the sake of like everyone already seems to have one. Might as well. Like, there's nothing I'm hiding in that sense. But yeah, I have gotten some pushback from Discord, and also I do like how handy it is for things, but also I don't like the fact that I've seen a lot of clickiness and like factions and arguments that seem to pop up on there for some reason. Whereas the Facebook page I have right now, we've got over 1,000 members, and everybody gets along. I mean, sometimes there might be too much spammy posts, and I'll clear that out. And I don't mean to be offensive if anybody's sharing information that they think is useful. Like, that's great. It's when people are sharing, like, I'm selling this, and we just don't, or basically they're alluding to that, that I'm just like, okay, well, we don't need that going on. But other than that, that's the main issue I've found. But it's hard for me to keep up with um, all the different platforms, from my email to my Instagram to the Facebook to this channel, to my website for work and all that. Like, so to me, it's become also just a practicality. Like, am I really going to be able to add anything for you guys to there? Um, and it's a whole new system I have to learn how to mod and then assign mods and all that. So I've thought about it, but I don't know that that's what I want to do. I'm gonna step outside, guys, because I'm warm and catching the last bits of summertime in the Northwest. It's probably won't be allowed to call it this anymore, but Indian summer is what we've always called it here. When we get the late summer. But it got down to like 50 degrees last night, and so it's time to bring my gold barbs and think. My gold barbs look freaking incredible though. Like, I was looking at them today, and they're like metallic and shimmery. I mean, they look gold, not yellow, gold. So I'm excited that they seem to do really well. And this year I didn't do a ton of domestic fish out there. I did a lot of native fish. So I have bass that I need to go put somewhere or put in the neighbor's bigger pond. I have a neighbor who has a koi pond that there's no koi in, and it's like, I don't know, 8,000 gallons, and it seems to be running still, but he just doesn't top it off with water. He said I could put whatever I want in it if I took care of it. So I might just do native fish in there, because it has a whole like lazy river basically set up in it, which I think is great, for all the oxygenation and the cooler fish that will live in there. Asya, what's going on? Good to see you. Always great to have you in here. Oh, nice. Ken, you got some cool color shrimp. Are they Neos? Because the ones that I'm going to share tomorrow are almost all Caridina yellow color. And according to, hey, we got a member. Woohoo! Always love it if we can get a member during a stream. It's only $1.99, and you guys get 16 or 20 extra episodes depending on the month. About what's going on in the world of academia and or fish news. Fishtory is the name of the segment. It's usually under the community tab, and then after it's been up for a while, or every 2 months or so, I'll post an episode for everyone to see. And yes, the stray kitty is still visiting. Silky is still around here somewhere. And wait, is that her? I was gonna say, if I can see her in the shadow, but I couldn't see her with my eye, like if the camera could see her, that would have been creepy. But no, she was just here eating right before the stream, so she's here and doing well. And my wife's gonna be around, so are my neighbors and friends and stuff, my parents as well. So there's plenty of people around in town, right in the area that I live in, that can take care of her while I'm gone, which is great. My parents are so sad about losing my cat that had been living with them for years. Um, when we got this place, you know, being under 1,000 square feet, we kind of decided that it would be unfair to bring the cat here and keep it indoor, and with it being a Bengal, and so parents are retired, and it's so bonded to them in the 2 years while we were looking for a house and in between our apartment and this place. So yeah, I couldn't take it away. Let's see. Let's see. Rob's Fish. Been meaning to for a while. Just got my new bank cards. Right on. Well, I appreciate it. Let's see here. Hey, Zen Ginger, what's going on? X Genetics Legacy Radio. What's going on? That name, man. Are you a ham radio person or something? Oh yeah, I summoned a mod. Apparently, that's what I. Oh, you got some shrimp from the Garden of Eater and some plants from Aquarium Co-op, huh? Right on. I hope that they all did you well. Um, oh, smack. Oh, smack. We've got yeah, it looks like a huntsman spider or something there, like a gnarly looking spider. But yeah, so does anybody have any? Okay, I requested to join the group. Be prepared for the coolest jade shrimp you have ever seen. Right on. I would love to see that, Ken. Thanks. Yeah, I'll approve you right away if someone else doesn't already by the time I get there. But the Facebook group is pretty active. I'm not always daily checking on it. I try every day to read through the comments, though, on the last 3 or 4 videos I've posted. I try to stay up to date there, or if we have a lively discussion going anywhere in general on the channel, I try to keep up with that. But I'm not always on the Facebook, but I do come through a couple times a week, and I try to at least acknowledge the stuff, like saying I've seen it, and comment on the stuff that I can assist with. But really, it's become this self-sustaining group, which is really awesome. When someone has a problem, a lot of times someone gives a good answer, I'll just give it a thumbs up if that's the answer I would have thought, you know. And there's more than one way to do everything in this hobby. I don't have all the answers, obviously, so there's plenty of people that are way more experienced than I am. You know, people have been doing this 50 years or whatnot that are in the comments and in the Facebook group, that have, you know, they can respond great sometimes when I'm too busy to get to it. So yeah, Peter Lee, what's up? Let's see here. Today you found a pretty cool, a pretty wolf spider. Yeah. They could be pretty, but I don't want them in my apartment or house. I feel you though. Zen Ginger, Alex, I just planted 2 pink flamingo crypts into a 20 long with stratum and and a cheap Nicrew light and no CO2. I know we'll probably inevitably kill it, but any tips for keeping it alive? Yeah, my tip, Zen, is unless it's completely submerged, like you know for a fact that it was underwater for 3 or 4 months plus, I would put it in that same aqua soil, and you can keep its roots soaked, but I would keep it out, so the plant part, put like a bowl or a jar over it so it has high humidity, and it's room temperature. A little warmer than room temperature is ideal. And then honestly, I would grow it immersed for the first, until it gets roots. Now, if it already came with roots, then maybe you're good to go. Otherwise, it's going to be like a 20 to 30% chance that it's going to take hold. You use stratum, so you're not going to burn them out. That's good. But you need to have enough nutrients. And with CO2, they would be okay a lot of times, because then they can use what nutrients is there. But without the CO2, I worry. So I would say, yeah, I would say that they're probably best off if you put them immersed. If you like took a little Tupperware Zen, and in the Tupperware put the stratum, maybe a root tab, then put the pink flamingos in there, and then put a jar over it or a bucket over it, something that you can still get light in. And even put it in the window would be plenty of light, usually for crypts. They don't need a ton of light. They just need some quality light. And that's the thing, is they need UVA, UVB. And so, like, even indirect light in a window can sometimes do that. You gotta remember is the variant that does chlorophyll, and because it doesn't have as much chlorophyll, it can't process the sunlight as well. So that's why it tends to need more. But a lot of people will also then go get a crazy strong like Fluval 3.0 in a shallow tank and burn them out. So you don't want that either. So that they're a tricky one. And I feel like half the reason people sell pink flamingo is so that they can just sell more of it when people inevitably kill it. That's my secret conspiracy theory at the moment for the hobby. Um, Breed wolf spiders is one of your projects on Discordia, or you'd like to. Well, let me know how that goes. I'll give you all of mine. They're rooted, but I planted them already with root tabs a couple of inches on both sides. Just curious, anything else like specific nutrients? So the thing they're lacking frequently, everyone thinks it's iron. It's not. They'll probably be fine without iron. It's potassium. So you just want to make sure that whatever nutrients you're putting in there, that you have potassium. Um, Even if you get algae later, that's okay, from the nitrates and things that are in there. If you're at over 20 parts per million into the 30, 40, 50 parts per million, your fish will be okay. But that daily fertilizers like aquarium co-ops, Easy Green, things like that, they tend to have a lot of nitrates because they're assuming you're running at zero bio load and you want the nitrates, whereas most people are actually running with fish and you don't need more nitrates. So the other thing you can do to really help plants from melting, I have that video on it. Why do my tissue cultures melt, or why do my plants melt? Is the other thing, you want to keep some flow on it and keep the debris out of that tank. So you don't want any little bits of plants. Like a lot of my tanks are full of organic debris, which is great for little shrimp and baby fish and things like that. But for an aquascape and for those specific plants, they're usually living on an area that gets lots of flow, and so all that organic debris gets pushed out of the way. Because that organic debris, those carbon compounds and all those, what are they called? The hexane organic rings and stuff. Those are like just waiting to bond with other things, and then that ends up burning out the plant in a lot of different ways. A lot of different organic compounds do that. But like I said, with the flamingos, try starting them in a pot or in a tray of just, you can use aqua soil and water. And then if it's just the plant, you can also use like a squirt, even though that seems like a lot. You can use like as small of a squirt as you can make, or a little eyedropper. You can put in a daily fertilizer, or if you want to use estimative index, and you've got each chemical, or I think now Brightwell is doing, they're doing dosage with their fluorine, I think it's called, where that actually doesn't have nitrogen in it, but it does have a good amount of potassium. So that's the one, that or ADA, Brighty Green, and Brighty Micro and Macro, those three. Those are the ones I would use personally if I was trying with that. But that being said, you can try any of them. Dustin's Plant Juice, Aquarium Co-ops. I wouldn't add any of the liquid carbon though. A lot of people think that that's going to substitute the CO2, and it really doesn't. It just kills algae. It's an algicide essentially. And so yeah, I would just be careful with that. But try doing the flamingos immerse. Maybe I'll pick some up when I'm down at Fishtober. Probably be down there early and everything, and I'll probably get some plants, maybe from Kenny, if I butter him up. Maybe he'll have a pink flamingo for me, and then I can try to film doing the same thing where I immerse it, because I've done it once before, and that was the only way I had. And out of that, I had 4 portions, and 3 of the 4 survived when I did that. And that was that I grew them for 3 or 4 months in a tray with a dome. I think it was just Tupperware bowl over it next to the aquarium with the aquarium light there. So it stayed humid and there was water in the tray. And what I used was ADA um, micro and macro, which has the potassium in it. But I think most root tabs have a fair amount of potassium, especially if you're talking about doing it in an immersed tray like that. That should be totally fine, Ginger. So I would say you're probably okay with a root tab. But yeah, I like the Seachem Flourish tabs too when I buy a tab. Um, so you have Easy Green. It depends. If you're doing a lot of water changes, Easy Green might be fine for it. If you're not doing a lot of water changes and you have a good amount of fish, like if you're not doing weekly or bi-weekly water changes of 20% or more, um, that's really what some of those fidgety plants need if they're not going to have CO2. Yeah, that's the unfortunate truth about a lot of those colored plants. Now, crypts, once they get going, they can exist in really low light with really low nutrients. It's just a matter of getting that root structure going, because when they're babies or when you buy them, oftentimes they've been on land or in the air and their roots are underwater or in the substrate. Then they get dunked in a tank. The tissue starts to break down and it's halfway to aquatic. But then when it gets into your tank, your water might be harder or softer, and all of a sudden it shocks it again. And so that tissue's been beat up 2 or 3 times in different environments. Whereas if it's in the air, light gets to it easier. It can breathe CO2 or oxygen. O2 can go in and out easier through respiration versus the osmosis and transpiration of the gases. And yeah, I mean, I think you'll be okay with those dishes and stuff if you want to try that. But otherwise, I'd say keep the debris out of the aquarium, keep up on the water changes, and just make sure you've got some potassium in those root tabs or whatnot. Should be fine if that's the case. Yeah, and really that's the best you can hope for. Because a lot of plants, it doesn't matter if you do water changes or not, but these ones, they grow in creeks and streams, usually halfway out of the water, sometimes all the way underwater, and they are usually in a creek that's oxygenated, which also brings carbon and CO2 from the atmosphere. So they're actually naturally getting CO2 as well as the oxygen. People forget that about a stream, is that all the CO2 that's in the air also, even though that's surface area. Chew, what's going up? Good to see you. Tampa Tom, also good to see you. Setting up a 10-gallon in the bathroom for rainbow fry. Right on. That's fun. Well, ladies, gents, and germs, I think that I'm thinking about moving off Monday night because I think everyone's tired by this time at night. Thinking about moving back to Tuesday. I'm going to have to see who all's out and about on Tuesday, but I'll keep you guys posted. But the Monday thing, I think Friday works at the time it does, but Monday, everybody's tired. Grant's stream goes before mine. Steamfought's got his private and public stream that day before mine. And so we got a lot of overlap, and I think a lot of people are kind of burned out on Fish Talk too. And so I think we might try shifting that back to like Tuesday or something like that. We may keep it later though, because I know a lot of people are not off work by a certain time, and so I do like having streams at 2 different times. But I appreciate you guys all being here. I love all the replay crew as well, and my mods, everybody else. I really enjoy all of that, and all the work you guys do and all your comments. So thanks for being here. Thanks for being a part of the channel. I know I was MIA for 2 weeks, essentially, week and a half, and Fishery's up for the week for all you members. I can't do it without you, and I appreciate you so much. So thank you guys. And I will check out those shrimp on the Facebook page. Plus, watch out tomorrow morning for the drop of the video on the craziest yellow shrimp you'll have ever seen. I'd never seen anything like them. There's a purple metallic one with a skeleton pattern that's like greenish yellow, and then yellow tail and spots. I mean, and then there's yellow-eyed King Kongs, and then there's black with yellow, like half black, half yellow, like bumblebees. I mean, there's some insane combos going on that he has. Hey Debbie, what's going on? I hope you're doing well. And thanks for joining us, Smack. Anthony and Mountain Greenery. Yes, Anthony. I kind of did a fish room tour the other night when I got back. I don't have a huge fish room. I've got 28 tanks, and three are in the living room. The rest are all in the fish room. Then I've got about 8 tubs outside. But yeah, I'm gonna reorganize things and resituate things this winter once I'm back from traveling. But I'm gonna say it one more time. If you guys have a crew or a club or a meetup, and you guys or how fish change their sex and like how they can go from male to female, back to female, and fertilize themselves, or how crayfish do that, or how color genetics work and pigmentation and what foods go into that. I've got plenty of talks ready from the years of having this channel, and the history talks are the ones that I get asked to do the most. But yeah, I'm traveling the country now and doing that. So, oh, the stream's trying to crash. Well, I'm going to call it a night then again. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate all of you. I hope you have a wonderful week, wonderful night. I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye. Oh, and Vivi is live. Vivi.com. Sign up. Just do it. It's live now for you guys. It's not necessarily like being promoted or anything yet. If you have trouble, you can go. There's tabs at the top for like, how do I do X, Y, and Z? How do I become a seller? How do I set up my profile? All of it is in Vivi.com. VIVVY. .com is now live, so it's basically LinkedIn for your aquarium room or for your aquarium. You can put one aquarium and all its inhabitants, or all of them, and then you can look at fish for sale. And right now we're looking for more people to sell fish. Right now they're going to start at $25 flat rate, overnight shipping across the country. So if you want to ship fish for cheaper than anyone else, that's going to be the cheapest deal. They bargained with UPS and got that overnight. Thanks, Zen Ginger, for putting the link down there. And Pacific Northwest Aqua, right on. I look forward to seeing you back at Fishtoberfest. I was just showing my little snowball plecos that are local, and I appreciate it. They're looking cute, and all three are still doing well. They're just so tiny. All right, guys. Well, I will talk to y'all later. I got baby Bettas to take care of, and I got to planarize that tank. I'll talk to you later. Much love. Take care, everyone. Bye.